Welcome to Machismo TV, the ultimate destination for modern men seeking to upgrade their lifestyle. Subscribe to Machismo TV and Saul T-Balls. We stream daily from 12 midnight to 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the best male-centric content. Highlight reels without reviewing or providing any editorial bias to the content. We have done so much, with so little for so long, we are now qualified to do anything, with nothing.
What's up and shout out to everybody. What's up and shout out to everybody. I know it was a hiccup with the start time. I accidentally put it at 1, but no, we starting now. I meant to put it at 12. So we are starting now. Let's get ready to go. Let's get ready to go. Y'all already know I'm not completely ready to start the show, but we about to get into this bad boy. We about to get into it. Had to click a few things, stumbling out the gate. But shout out to each and every one of you. Appreciate each and every one of you for being here. Strap on in. Let's get ready to go. Where's my intro? Let's get it.
Peace, folks. This is X from TPOT Media. Open your mind and wake your black ass up. You know what time it is. Hit that damn like button as you make your way in the door. Grab a seat, settle in, get ready. It's the Grown Man Hour with your host, my man, Bernard Riley.
What's going on, everybody? What's up and what's going on, everybody? Shout out to each and every one of you. Shout out to you that make it in bright and early. Shout out to Hood Conservative, says you picked a fun story today. Absolutely. Sorry I had to cancel on the Saturday show. Shout out to RM in the building. Shout out to American Negro, says Salty Balls. Shout out to Doronimer. I think I said that right. Shout out to Doronimer in the building. Shout out to you. Shout out to Stephen Carter. Says time to grab some coffee. Absolutely. Even though I've been kind of staying off the coffee lately. All water in here, baby. All water. Doronimer also pointed out that I spelled Neil wrong. You're actually incorrect. Neil deGrasse Tyson spelled his name wrong. Now, Neil deGrasse Tyson's name is spelled wrong on his birth certificate. I didn't get it. I mean, that's what's on his birth certificate. They got it wrong. I got it right. I'm just playing. But no, I definitely correct that. If I'm quick enough with the trigger, I might be able to correct that right now as we speak. Let's see if I can do that. All right, the name is corrected. And let me go ahead and add an @ of Star Talk. Do I really even want to add that in there? That's the name of his YouTube channel. Might as well add that in there. Let me add the hashtag Neil with the N-E-L. deGrasse Tyson. Yeah, go ahead and get my hashtag game together. All right. I think we got it. I think we're ready to go. But all right. Yeah, I saw that. I noticed that he said you did Saturday on Sunday. But all right. Let's go ahead and get into this bad boy. Now, I don't got to give too much backstory because they actually going to give the backstory of the genesis of all of this. They're going to give the backstory in this video.
The time has been to
I'm going to play. They're going to give the backstory in this, but I had to title this thing as Neil deGrasse Tyson lost it because I normally don't say this about people, but he's operating, acting, and behaving in a manner in which that I only it's coming off like he's paid off or tipped off in some kind of way. It's and I don't even like to say that. I don't even like to go there. I like to look at what somebody is saying on their merits, on the merits of what they're saying. They're either making sense or they're not making sense. I don't be questioning motives. But it's getting strange only because I know he knows better. I know he knows the distinction between caring about human rights and human flourishing and trying to reduce human suffering versus hard factual science. Just don't call it science. Like just say that male and female is our sex, our biological anatomy and everything. That's what that is. But there are some people who, in their mind, mentally, from a psychological standpoint, a social standpoint, they identify as something else. And they're free to do it, and we should treat people well and not, yeah. That's it. That should be his political statement. We should treat people well and not treat people bad because they're different. What do you say to that? If you wanted to play the politics, what do you say to that? But when he get into arguing that the chromosomes are not enough to determine male and female, then it gets stupid. And even according to their own argument, where they make a distinction, sex is one thing. Sex is your anatomy and your parts. You got mommy parts or daddy parts. That's what your sex is, male or female. But gender is just how you present and represent. And okay, those are two different things. Even if you accept even if you still man their argument, he still should not be making the chromosome argument that chromosomes is not enough to determine male and female. Even if I still man their argument. So it just turns into a goofy. It turns into he's locked up in a pander. That's more or less what it is. He's locked up in a pander. I could still man their argument and still arrive at the same conclusion that no, it's a difference between male and female. The sports shouldn't be mixed. Now, Hood Conservative has no interest in still manning their argument or even accepting the premise. He says sex is gender, gender is sex. But what I'm saying is, even if you accept the premise, it still shouldn't dictate that they make all the further arguments that they're making. I'm going to show a video of a trans woman talking to a trans athlete, talking to Trevor Noah. And he was asking legitimate questions about whether or not biological males should be competing in sports. In the response of the trans person was, it just comes down to, do you believe trans women are women? If you believe that they're women, then they should compete. End of. But even if you accept their argument that the gender is something up here in the mind, that's still your sex, your physical body out there on the playing field. So It's physical bodies versus physical bodies, not um a pink or blue presentation out in the octagon. It's like, so that's where it gets stupid. That's where it gets stupid. But all right, well, we're going to get into this. We're going to get into this. But before we get into it, and I do have to send one text message real quick. Do got to send one show related text message. All right, getting into it. Carlo in the building. Shout out to you. He says he's a clown. How much did they pay him to say this nonsense? Or is I think you mean, or is it just him? See, here's the thing. Some of them don't even operate from the standpoint like, oh, I'm being paid to say this. Some of them literally have a view. I'm going to get into that. I'm going to get into it. But shout out to you. Thank you for putting $10 on it.
What do we get for $10? Everything you want.
Some of them have a view where, you know, and it's going to come up in this conversation, where, you know, treating trans people correctly, treating them good with human dignity and doing whatever, giving them whatever they need to feel good about life, to prevent them from committing suicide, whatever you got to do to try to convince them, to try to get them to be comfortable and cozy in life and not hate themselves at all costs. Let's do what we got to do to help these people feel good. At its core is really it can be a noble cause that's rooted in look how this country treated black people. This is the civil rights movement of our day. Let's make sure we don't get this one wrong. It's like some of it could be rooted in that with a noble cause with so much bullshit spread over top of it. Or it might just be bullshit and they putting icing over the icing of let's treat people right, you know. But it's bullshit. It's bullshit when they start talking about women or biological males walking around in the girls' locker room. It's bullshit when they start talking about biological males competing in female sports. It's bullshit when they're talking about irreversible procedures to kids. It's bullshit when they're talking about hormone blockers to kids. It's bullshit when they're talking about kids can decide their gender on a whim and it has to be respected, and the parent is doing something wrong if they don't accept a 6-year-old deciding that he's a she or she's a he. That's where it turns into bullshit, and it goes beyond the hey, let's make sure that we're, you know, treating everybody fairly and everybody in all of their differences. Let's make sure of that. But all right, let's get into it.
Communicate scientific knowledge to the public.
Yeah.
And that's why I was quite surprised to hear you talk about the idea that we all exist on a spectrum where you wake up one day and you feel like you're more female and more male.
The XXXY chromosomes are insufficient because when we wake up in the morning, we exaggerate whatever feature we want to portray the gender of our choice.
What he's saying right there, still manning his argument, he's talking about the outward social constructs of male and female. Girls pink, boys blue. Boys like to do this, girls like to do that. Those are social things that somebody chooses to do. It has absolutely nothing to do with chromosomes. It has nothing to do with male anatomy or female anatomy or your biological sex, your chromosomes, your DNA. It has nothing to do with that. So why even bring chromosomes into it? Like, I could help their argument by just simply saying that, hey, however somebody want to dress, just let them dress that way, let them wear what they want to wear, and just, live and let live. And, you conservatives believe in freedom, right? Okay, well, let people be free to do what they want to do. That's the argument. If you're just talking about freedom for a guy to wear some pink Daisy Dukes if he want to, it's a free country. He can put on his pink Daisy Dukes. What the hell do that got to do with chromosomes? It's like, so as a scientist, he understands the biology of it, and then now he said it could be still. Whoever said it could be still woman. Yeah, you got. As a scientist, he understands the biology of it all. Keep the biology and the chromosomes out of it, and just say, hey, let people be free to wear what they want to wear and do what they want to do and present how they want to present. I've got no argument there. They keep reaching with a bunch of bullshit, though.
Suppose no matter my chromosomes, today I feel 80% female, 20% male. I'm gonna put on makeup. I'm gonna do that. Tomorrow I might feel 80% male. I'll remove the makeup and I'll wear a muscle shirt. Why do you care?
Yeah.
What business is it of yours to require that I fulfill your inability to think of gender on a spectrum? My only point.
I agree with what you're saying, Vincent Daniels, that no man should be wearing that around kids. And then that's where it gets further weird, because they're, in one hand, in one breath, they're, they will argue against somebody who's pushing against the overreaches of this shit, but they won't argue at all against the person who, the videos, I know Little Big Nate got those videos saved on file of some bald-headed white dude, in some literally tighty-whitey underwear, twerking and gyrating at one of their little parades in front of kids. You don't see the pushback of, wait, hey, hold on. That shit ain't normal. That shit ain't good. That ain't what we here for. That ain't what's going, you don't see that.
Was that if who you decide is male and female in the street is a construct of style and trends and what the beauty industrial complex wants you to see, if that's how we establish gender, then maybe some people want to be fluid within that gender identify. So they'll wear a skirt, but maybe have a beard, or they'll mix and match that in whatever way you want.
Sorry.
He's spinning out of the problem by making it seem like it's just a casual conversation about fashion. A casual conversation about fashion, if somebody want to wear what they want to wear, that's where it used to be. And nobody was really tripping then, because people wanted to wear what they want to wear, how they want to wear it. Nobody was blowing a gasket over that. Some people didn't like it. There was some staunch down religious people that it's an abomination. Those folks was mad. The people who was in the it's an abomination crowd. But now they've took the arguments further to the point where now even people who don't believe it's an abomination gotta be like, wait, hold on. This is just stupid. This just doesn't make any sense. this is just going just too goddamn far. But, all right, let's get it. Let's get it. What in the hell? I think we got. Hold on. RM, make sure that the that Neil deGrasse Tyson's @ and hashtag is in the title. I put it in there. I don't know if it's there. So double check that, make sure that that's in there. But all right, let's get ready to go. Let's get into it.
Sorry. Hold on. I'm not, wait, I'm almost done.
Let me back up.
Okay.
Identify. So they'll wear a skirt, but maybe have a beard, or they'll mix and match that in whatever way
Neil,
you want.
Hold on.
I'm not, wait, I'm almost done. So,
okay,
if a person using the tools of the beauty industrial complex wants to mix and match this,
yeah,
and they are expressing their freedom in a free country to do so, why is your job to tell them not to?
Okay.
That's my only...
They were trying to cut him off to explain to him that that's not the issue. And now he's saying, that's my only problem. But then when they explain what the problem is, he's going to have a problem with that.
Point. And so I'm speaking of gender expression and the freedom to do so. And
I will tell you why
if you want to restrict that, then what country we living in? Yeah, go ahead.
So first of all, I don't know a single person, and we've talked to trans people on the show. We have trans employees at Trigonometry. We've spoken to all sorts of people about this.
Now that's important. This channel is called Trigonometry, like you're triggered nometry. Well, good play on words. He said they have trans employees, and that's sort of my point. That there are non-transphobic, non-religious right, it's an abomination type of people who are just looking at this saying, what the fuck? And that's the category that I fell in, because I used to, my position was, love all people, not love them all in a certain context, but treat all people fairly. This is America's freedom, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, whatever you want to do, live and let live. That was my philosophy, and that's still my philosophy. And so I was all on board with whatever people want to do, even though it was weird, even though people did weird shit that made me throw up in my mouth when I thought about it, or if I happened to see some of the shit. This is America, home of the free. Live and let live. It's a lot of people that are in that category who don't have some religious dictate or principles that more or less dictate that they have to be against this, who are looking at it like, y'all are clowning. Y'all are doing a disservice to the people that y'all want to be accepted into society. Y'all are doing them a disservice by bending over and can't use bending over in these type of conversations, by yielding and pandering to whatever little dictates they throw out there, to the point that where scientists that know better has to, make essentially bad arguments.
Issue. I do not know a single person who wants to prevent people from dressing how they want, or behaving how they want, or choosing any name that they want. However, the problem is...
So you don't... But such people are out there.
I'm sure such people exist, in the same way that there are people who believe that the earth is flat and so on. But they're a tiny minority.
They exist.
It is
I don't know how tiny they are, given the dialogue today.
Fair point. However, what I would say is that the conversation in the public consciousness has become prominent, not between people who want to defend the right of anyone to dress how they want and the people who want to prevent that. The reason the conversation has become an issue is that we assign and allow certain privileges to people based on their sex. If you are female, you get to go to places that only other females are in, like changing rooms and toilets and so on. if you are female, you get to compete only with people of your sex because females are at a disadvantage in physical competition to males in almost every sport. In other words, we carve out certain areas where your sex matters tremendously, even though we may respect your right everywhere else to believe that you are whatever you are, to dress however you are, etc. So your claim that today you woke up and put lipstick on and grew your hair out long and tweezed out your mustache and whatever, and therefore you are female, has an impact on other people in certain contexts in which that is a problem.
You gave only two contexts. Do you have others?
Sorry, I wasn't finished. And in those contexts, it is essential, people would argue, to protect women from unfair competition and from various risks for which female-only spaces already exist.
Now, what's happening here when you said you gave only two? Are there others? Neil deGrasse Tyson, being a good debater, you know, he's holding them down on that. Okay, you have two. You have two. Let's address those. And it's going to be the attempt to try to roll the argument down a narrow hallway that these only two things are the issue. The guy didn't mention, you know, he didn't mention what they're teaching the kids in the school. He didn't mention that there are people that are okay with irreversible surgeries for kids, hormone blockers for kids, or just even the concept of, you know, allowing a 6-year-old to even make a decision on its gender is just crazy. Then in some places, they're literally viewing. I don't know. Nate has the information on this, whether or not like the parent is going to be, you know, face some penalty for not allowing it. Like they're, you know, doing something wrong to the kid. Like it's abusive in some way for a parent to not accept the gender transformation of the kid. It's stuff like that's going on and going on heavy. So it's no way to just narrow the conversation or try to roll the argument down a narrow hallway and say it's just these two things. But from a debate tactic standpoint, he did do a good job of just trying to, let's just keep it right here so I can give a nuanced argument to it. That's more or less what's about to happen here.
That's why people are having this conversation.
Okay.
It's not out of bigotry.
Do you have more than those two examples? And I'll address each of those in turn. But do you have more than those two? Probably not. Okay. So let me address those two examples directly. I'll address them.
Sports is very important.
You said that.
Female
you don't have to
only
repeat.
Spaces.
I remembered. But you don't seem to have a third example. So, and even if you do, we presume that would be a very distant third compared to those two cases. All right.
No, there's a third one I can give you very easily in this country for politics.
Yeah. So they blocked that law in California. So, but that still means that somebody sent it to their congressman, and he actually took that and wrote it up and made a bill out of it and presented the bill to try to get it turned into a law. So the mere fact that they're at that stage in the game of trying to get somebody to make it child abuse for a parent to not accept the child's gender transformation, affirmation, or whatever the lingo is, again, that's what's being pushed forth here. There are perfectly logical reasons as to why concerned adults would want to push back on that. That has nothing to do with bigotry or homophobia.
We have female-only shortlists for positions in Parliament. Therefore,
I didn't know about
that.
That's interesting. Okay.
Well, that's another example. I can give you more. So, female-only shortlists. There are certain targets within corporations for diversity targets to have a certain number of women on the board. Therefore, when you make a claim that you are female, you are attempting, whether intentionally or not, to insert yourself into categories that are deliberately designed to protect women's interests. That is the concern that people have. So there's 4 examples for you there, please.
Now, I don't necessarily like the route that he went, because he opened it up from a standpoint of protecting women's rights, and there are certain, quotas that got to be met for women in government They got to have so many, government positions for women and all of that stuff. So it's like on one hand, one person is being a snowflake crying about trans right. You don't beat that argument by being a snowflake crying about women's rights when it comes to them being in high positions in politics. So it's like that. To me, that was a bad argument. Not just criticizing these guys. I mean, I know in a live discussion, is that you're not going to make always just reel off the best argument. But I don't like where he took that, and you're going to see he opened the door for for Neil to argue from the standpoint that if you care that much about protecting women and having quotas for women and doing right by women and women, then yes, let's have that same energy to do right by trans people. So again, it just turned into placating to protected groups, sentiments and emotional whims. It turns into that. So I don't really care for the line for where they took it. I don't care for where they took it right there. Even though the overall merits and the meat of what they're talking about is correct, they just took it down a road that just, where it got a little murky and Neil could kind of dance a little bit.
Okay, sure. So interesting about the parliament. I have to look into that to find out what is it try to ensure the representation of women? Is that the goal?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay,
correct.
fine. So that's a perfectly noble cause there. So about personal changing spaces, okay? That's a solvable problem, of course. And we basically have accomplished that here in Manhattan, where I live. Practically all bathrooms are either multi-gender or solo bathrooms, so only one person at a time, or you walk into a space and there's stalls that are closed off, but then you exit the stall and you come to a communal sink, okay?
Yes.
So it's a solvable problem where everyone has a private space.
All right. That's not solving a problem. What he's talking about is two things here. One, I'll get to the locker rooms in a second, because he didn't address that, because you can't really solve that one. Because if you make the argument that trans women are women and women should be in the women's locker room, then you're saying that you're okay with no other way to say it. Just put it that bluntly, you're okay with a hairy dick being around 5-year-old girls in the locker room. That's just what it is. So he didn't address that, but the part that he's saying that he addressed, he's talking about restrooms where it's a single occupant restroom. They have those in a lot of places, and it doesn't say male or female. It's kind of a distinction without a difference, because you don't really need a male or female on there. The Subway, because it's closest to my house that I go to, I stopped going. Subway not healthy. That was a lie. But anyway, that Subway, it's no male female bathroom. It's just male female restroom. It's just one restroom with a door. You walk in, you close it behind you, you lock the door. It's a sink. It's a toilet. It doesn't say male or female. Those have always existed. Always. So in the places that had two of those, where it was a male-female single-occupant bathroom, it was a male single-occupant bathroom and a female single-occupant bathroom, they just took the male and female off of it. It's just two restrooms there. That's it. The rest of the restrooms, as it is in the majority of places, like if you go to Walmart, you go to Target, you walk in there, there's a big-ass stalls, it's urinals, the whole works. It's... So no, that doesn't solve the problem. It's still male, female, and even if you go to McDonald's are relatively small buildings. You walk in there, it's male, female. In the male bathroom, yes, the urinals like always, and the stalls like always. In the female bathroom, it's the stalls like it's always been. There's a sign to say female and a sign to say male. The majority of places have that. But just for the smaller percentage that got single occupant, bathrooms, that's the only difference. The only difference. They just got rid of the male and female on there, which didn't need to be there anyway, because it's all the same. because only one person is going in there at a time. So just women got to deal with toilet seats left up in a in a public single occupant bathroom. Oh well. That's not that's not an issue. That's nothing that was solved.
Rather than for themselves, rather than having a gender private space. Okay, it's solvable on a level. By the way, let me give an example. We have a school from the early 20th century in New York, and I just saw it the other day. There's an entrance here and an entrance there, and this entrance says girls, and this entrance says boys. It's like, what the fuck? What? You separate them just to enter the school? I can look back on that and say that was ridiculous. You guys, what were you thinking? But back then, I'm sure it made complete sense that you're going to send the girls through that entrance, and there's an elementary school, and the boys through that entrance, okay? So it is possible to look back on whatever you were doing and say, my gosh, that was really short-sighted, and look at the solution that was proposed and implemented. That was a good idea. We moved.
I don't know what school he's talking about, but nowhere in the history books have I heard of male, female, boys entrance, girl entrance, unless it was a school where they separated the they separated the sexes in the school. They separated the genders in the school, and that whole wing over there was for the boys, and that's where the boys went in at, and the girls went in over there, and the boys went over there. It probably was something like that. It probably wasn't as dramatic as he's saying.
On from that. Okay, so I remember boys' rooms where you come out and you whip it out, and we'd all be peeing into a trough. Okay, we don't have those anymore.
I've seen one of those. They used to exist. I do remember those, and I didn't like them. I'm glad they got rid of them. That I didn't like those. Probably seen more than one. It's just one. It's one when I was old enough to be like, what the fuck? This ain't right. But eventually they got rid of all of them.
We do because we're technologically very far behind.
Yeah.
Okay. So and then we had urinals just lined up on a wall. That was a little more private. And now those urinals have little.
They still got those. You know what? I think I saw one recently, and I was just like, what the hell? And I just kept it moving. But no, I don't like them. No, those do need to go. Those do need to go. I like the urinals, and I like the little wall up in between, the little small wall dividing the urinals. Just put something there dividing it. I want total privacy, and I want you to have total privacy, and I don't, no, we don't. Damn it, you are right. That's where I seen it. I seen it at a goddamn bar. Yeah, you said dive bars still do. That's where I seen it recently. Not like within the last 10 years. Yeah. But no, I'm all for doing whatever you got to do to increase privacy in fucking a funny story just popped in my head. Some strip clubs, this probably illegal, but they probably was in violation. Some strip clubs would have the bathroom stall. Now I'm talking about the urinals. I'm talking about the stall. I'm talking about where you shit at. It wouldn't have a door on it. That shit would be open where people could see you. And I think they did that because it's some motherfuckers, couldn't wait to get home before they got one off. I don't know what I think they did that at some strip clubs to keep people from jacking off in the bathroom at the strip club. I honestly believe that's why they did that. No, not jail, strip club. The bathroom at the strip club. I've seen 2 of them that was like that. I haven't been in that many strip clubs. I've probably been in 4. 2 of them was like that. So that's 50%. So I just assumed nationwide it was like 50% of strip clubs didn't have a door on the stall. You just That was my assumption. I could be wrong. But, all right. Cole still say some restroom in the army. Yeah, niggas be eating food at the strip club. No. Told y'all about them damn Hooters waitresses. They made a change in the code with the uniform where it's like the ass to Hooters booty short ratio was like, in favor of ass. It was like too much like under cheek hanging out of the uniform to the point to where it was just pulled up like camel toe, everything. And I liked seeing it, but goddamn, don't, when you bring my food to the table, don't, I don't want all your little your ass and pussy particles near my food. No. Some stuff don't mix with food. I'm sorry, it just don't. It do not. No. Keep food out of strip clubs. I ain't feel right when the Hooters waitress had too much camel toe and cheeks out by my damn wings. That ain't feel right. Too close to the table. Shit. But all right.
Small but real dividers. So you're not like looking over. So there are solutions to the privacy problem, and we've all but solved that here. I can't speak for every state in the United States. Definitely here in New York City. The bathrooms, it's not all right. There's that. Second,
they didn't solve that. That was, kind of a dodge.
With sports, very interesting.
Here we go.
There was a case where a woman wanted to be they wanted to disqualify her from an event. And she had very big muscles, and she had naturally high testosterone levels. Okay, and she was genetically female, but unusually high testosterone levels, and so that weirded everybody out. So I'm wondering whether the future of those sports is you don't contest gender with gender, you contest hormone ratios.
Well, hold on a second.
What do you
What that would do, that would make it to where instead of Serena Williams being the greatest women's tennis player ever, that would probably just make her, I don't know, maybe I'm being real generous saying top 100 tennis players ever. I don't know if Serena Williams is that good to where if you took the bottom 100 of the top 100 men and put her against them, would she hold her own against the 100th best male tennis player? Would she? I don't know. I don't know enough about tennis. I know in basketball that ain't happening. I know for damn sure in basketball that ain't happening. I am confident that my high school basketball team, my senior year, and we sucked. We had a below 500 record. It was a rebuilding year. I was the only senior on the team. We sucked. But we did have a junior who was 6'5", and could take off from the dotted lines, throw it down, two hands. I ain't never seen nobody in WNBA do what he did. I remember when I was in high school, I remember Jay Rich that was in the NBA. I remember when he was out there. He was just taking off from every guy. This two-time slam dunk champion. He was jumping just as high his senior year in high school as he was his third or fourth year in the NBA, whatever it was when he won the dunk contest. He was jumping that high as a senior in high school. But take this into account. There was also a 6'7", 6'8", he may have been 6'7" dude named DeAndre Hewlett, who was jumping just as high as him, who actually got drafted in the second round. But he wasn't, he was one of them ones who, I don't know what it was. I don't know if he got bad grades or just didn't have the right attitude or right discipline. I don't know what it was. I can't call it why he didn't make it. But he was damn near better than Jay Rich, if not better than Jay Rich in high school. All right. So keep in mind, we talking about two people who out there just catching alleys with damn near with a head up there with the rim. They got all y'all can't see, but they got all this over the rim when they dunking. Shit you ain't never seen in the NBA and WNBA. The only thing you've ever seen in the WNBA is some damn rim gazers. Yeah, if y'all play 2K, y'all know what that is. You know, Brittany Griner at one point she was, she was dunking easy 2 hands off a drop step, but that's at 6'8". But she was just stretching out to get it in there. I'm talking, I'm talking on one college basketball, one high school basketball team in my city. I'm talking it would have like five or six athletes on it, if not more, that are significantly more athletic than the best athletes I've seen in the WNBA. So I know for damn sure, there's practically no women's sports if they start trying to play around like that, or there are definitely no great female athletes if they eliminate female. But the fucked up thing about it and stupid thing about it, if you still man their argument and make their argument exactly as they make it, sex is your physical anatomy that you were born with. Gender is your psychological, mental, or social presentation of what you identify with. In sports, your physical body is out there competing, not your social preference for pink as opposed to blue. That's not what's competing on the field. It's a physical body competing. So even if I still man their argument, even if I accept every premise that they make, you still shouldn't say anything along the lines of women should compete in sports, or we should mix it up or flip it up, or to only do have certain not male female but testosterone brackets. No. The shit is stupid. It's bending over backwards to essentially pander to less than 1% of a population. Shout out to Chuck Igwu in the building with a $2 super chat. Do appreciate that. Thank you for putting $2 on it.
These last $2, I'm not gonna lose.
Says Neil deGrasse Tyson is a boule sent here to sell us the rainbow. Once upon a time, he was sent here to be a science educator, and he was really good at it. The reason that I, love science and every now and then will wax poetic about, mysteries of the universe and all the, everything. When y'all see me getting deep into a science discussion, it's partially because of him. And another other part, Carl Sagan, mixed with some Richard Dawkins and some few others that I just love hearing them talk about the biological world, the physical world, physics, all of that. And RM is confirming my assumption that it was segregated. Wait, hold on. I don't know if you're confirming my assumption. Hold on, wait. 2 separate entries, ground floor, one for boys and other for girls, that led to separate spaces for. It was okay. So yeah, that school that Neil deGrasse Tyson mentioned, there was a school that segregated the boys and the girls. I think the girls was on one floor, the boys was on another floor. One entry, I think, led down, one entry led up. So they just, for lack of confusion, the boys enter here, the girls enter there. They put up a sign just so it won't be no confusion. So he's making it seem like, so I don't think it was segregated in a sexist, in a chauvinistic way. You said Stephen Hawking. Nah, I can keep. I didn't want to listen to that damn sounding like Wally. Sound like a goddamn speaking spell. Like, no, I couldn't really listen to Stephen Hawking. I just, feel like an asshole telling him to get to the point, but he only could talk as fast as the computer allows him. So it's like, no. All right, I'm just playing. All right. Let's dive back in. Said Neil deGrasse Tyson is a Carl Sagan wannabe. that's not even fair to say, because then this is where I get into the aspect of Neil deGrasse Tyson that I used to like. Is Carl Sagan was his hero. They actually met him. Like Carl Sagan was Neil deGrasse Tyson was real smart in school, and I forgot what happened and how he ended up meeting him. And Carl Sagan knew that Neil deGrasse Tyson was like another version of him, and he invited him to his house. I think he stayed there for a little bit, and they, so he's like a protege of, he's a Padawan, an apprentice of Carl Sagan. So it's not necessarily a wannabe. They're two people cut from the same cloth, and they knew each other, and that it's all good there. He ain't just perpetrating. But all right, let's get back into it.
The differences physiologically between men and women are not just hormonal. Women have a different hip angle. They have different heart capacity. They have different lung capacity. I mean, there are profound physiological differences, different bone density. We've had
not an argument. It's let's separate sports based off heart capacity and bone density. That's stupid. When it's simple, male, female, a male like Shaq or LeBron James, who are genetic freaks of nature. Plenty of players more skilled than them that can't fuck with them because they're just some genetic freaks of nature. All right. Serena Williams is a genetic freak of nature who still worked hard. I'm not trying to take away from her hard work and dedication to her craft, but she's still a genetic freak of nature. The genetic freak of nature needs to stand out. That's don't take away their ability to be great. Don't take away the ability of the top percent of exceptional people to really flourish over those who aren't necessarily as exceptional, even though they're also pros. You would eliminate their ability to flourish. You eliminate Serena Williams' ability to flourish and be exceptional if you say she got to be categorized in a bracket that would include men. That's just it's ridiculous.
Okay, so then we find
on the show to talk about it.
I don't have a problem with that. So then you find ways to slice the population so that whatever the event is interestingly contested. So, for example, I wrestled in my life. I was captain of my high school wrestling team. It would be unfair for me at 190 pounds, which is what I was back then, to wrestle someone 120 pounds.
Hold on. It would actually be unfair for you to wrestle someone who's also 190 pounds but female.
Let me work my way there. Let me just work my way there, because you're
fine.
You are. I respect how active your brain is, but I've thought about all this, and just allow me to speak it at the rate that I do. Okay.
Go for it.
That was a polite, scientific, nerd way of saying, "Nigga, shut the fuck up and let me finish." I respect how active your brain is, but allow me to get there at the pace that I arrive. Neil wanted to say, "Shut your bitch ass up, god damn it! I'm talking. I'm Neil deGrasse Tyson, motherfucker." That's what he wanted to say. I respect the activity of your brain, but shut the fuck up.
So it would be unfair. So they have in wrestling, they said, let's make weight categories. Okay. So we make weight categories. So I don't wrestle the 120. I wrestle 190 pounder. So a wrestling match is not just this one person against the other person. It's 10 matches. And each one is intensely interesting because they are matched. Okay. So what the trans conversation is foisting upon us is the need to find ways to slice the athletic universe such that we still have interesting fair matches. And is it a combination of, did you go through puberty as a male and then transition? Did you have puberty blockers? What is your hormone level now if you want to compete? So it requires more creative thought. Rather than saying no to it all, let's be creative about this as we were with wrestling, as we are with practically any other sport. In rowing, there's a heavyweight rowing and there's lightweight rowing. They don't compete against each other. Somebody came up with that to resolve the problem because more than one category of person wanted to compete. So I agree with you, it's an unsolved problem, yes, but it's not unsolvable given what we know about human physiology. So why not rise to that occasion and solve it rather than take your older view of the world and force modern emergent conduct of people to fit that?
Oh man, it's like it's like it's a point in the conversation where you just got to know that you are reaching. There's a point in the conversation where you got to know that you are reaching. And I, ladies and gentlemen, got to take a brief 1 minute. Well, no, don't worry about me, what I'm doing. I'll try to be back in 30 seconds.
Welcome to Machismo TV, Welcome to Machismo TV, the ultimate destination for modern men seeking to upgrade their lifestyle. Subscribe to Machismo TV and Sol T-Balls. We stream daily from 12 midnight to 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the best male-centric content. Highlight reels without reviewing or providing any editorial bias to the content. We have done so much, with so little for so long, we are now qualified to do anything, with nothing.
All right. I'm back. Thank you for your patience. From the looks of things, didn't nobody even leave? At least with the numbers I'm seeing. I'm impressed. All right, well, I left with Neil deGrasse Tyson making a bad argument, a long-winded argument, a dodge of an argument, saying that, hey, at some point, we had to figure out weight classes. All right. So we're at a point now where we got to figure out something else. I say, if it ain't broke, we don't fix it. We got simple male, female sports. We've separated sports based off male and female. And you want to know what's crazy? I'll actually support this. Let's just say in the extremely highly unlikely event that there was a woman who was good enough to play in the NBA. Let's just say if she was in the WNBA, she would average 50 to somewhere between 50 and to 100 if she wanted to. But in the NBA, she came off the bench and averaged 8 points, 6 points. If that's what she wanted to do, go ahead. Whatever, you know. I would be okay with that. However, the whole idea and notion of somebody saying that they're a male or saying that they're a female, saying that they have gender dysphoria, even if it could be scientifically figured out, they put some sensors on the brain and was like, yep, this person has gender dysphoria. Yep, absolutely. I still say, you don't do that. You don't put men in the women's sports. You saying you thought women already could be in the NBA? I don't know. I seriously don't know if it's a rule that says they can't. Just nobody's ever been good enough. Like there's no rule that says I can't be in the NBA. I can't identify as somebody good enough to play in the NBA either. So there's no, so I don't know if there's a rule. It's just never been nobody good enough to be in no woman good enough to be in the NBA. So that could that could be it. But hey, if somebody's good enough, if a chick is good enough, I would be okay with that. And that could put me at somewhat of a contradiction, but I'm good with that contradiction. If a woman is good enough to compete with the men, I would let her do it. But I really think she should be the Michael Jordan of women's sports, other than just be a role player off the bench with the men. That's my thing. That's my thought process on that. But all right, but Neil deGrasse Tyson was making a reaching argument comparing weight classes, and so now we got to figure out bone. I mean, not just not separated male, female, not separated in weight class. We got to separate it in bone density, heart size, and heart rate, and all kind of other weird shit to try to accommodate less than 1% of 1% of the population or something like that. To accommodate a percent of 1%, I should say. I don't know exactly what percent of the 1% that is, but that's what we got to know.
Okay, well, can we just come back to the female shortlist and other opportunities that women are afforded by virtue of being women, and them now being excluded from that because males are entering that competition?
Yeah, so a deeper problem, thank you for bringing that up. A deeper problem there is why...
You said nostril size. Well, the NBA is already separated by nostril size right now. That's why it's majority black. Okay. People with wide nostrils can coincidentally run fast and jump high.
Why were women underrepresented to begin with? What kind of bias exists within Parliament or among the voters, maybe even the female voters, that prevented the representation from being there in the first?
Now, right now, this is where Neil deGrasse Tyson is kind of going to get the leg up on them in the argument, because they started snowflaking. They started snowflaking and started, being activists for women's rights. And then he was like, yes, let's fix the women's rights problem and give women equal representation. And then if women have equal representation in government positions, now a few trans women getting a few positions over women, that wouldn't be a big deal. So that's where they went the wrong direction in the argument. They start trying to out snowflake him. Like, you don't do that. No.
Why were women underrepresented to begin with? What kind of bias exists within Parliament or among the voters, maybe even the female voters, that prevented the representation from being there in the first place? That's a whole other social question that maybe can and should be answered at a deeper level than a quota coming in after the fact.
Oh, I'm not a fan of quotas, but if they exist...
That's how I would address that question.
Hold on a second. That's not addressing the question at all. The question is, female shortlist exists. Should biological males be allowed to enter those female shortlists? That's as simple as the question is.
Yeah, I'm saying I would ask why you have the short list in the first place. It's because there's something deeper that's wrong with society.
Now, see, I don't like his question, but he's asking the question. But even within the way that he's framing the question, Neil deGrasse Tyson is still not asking it. I mean, he's still not answering it.
That women are underrepresented in governance. So to say now, to protect that now and not try to get to the root of that problem, I think is the cart in front of the horse. So I would go deeper to that problem. So
but
you don't even have to have
women
that question.
whose opportunities are being curtailed today because they are being forced to compete, whether in sports or elsewhere, against people who have some kind of advantage over them.
We're in a transitional period, so we have to figure that out. But the way to figure out things that require solutions to progressive change is not to regress it to how things once were. If that were the case, I would still be drinking from a segregated water fountain. Okay? Oh, let's merge the water fountains and let's create the opportunities from below so that we don't even need the short list.
That right there is the crux, to, in my opinion, to where all of this comes from. When he mentioned back in the day, I would have had to drink at a different water fountain. I think some people look at that and a lot of black people look at it that way. I've always quoted Bill Russell. This is somebody who, was playing basketball in Boston in the 50s. Needless to say, it was a little bit racist. All right. When black people talk about racism in the 50s in Boston, they weren't talking about no microaggressions. All right. So, but even Bill Russell to this day said when it comes to gay people, he said black people were always excluded from things. We cannot participate in the act of excluding anybody. That was the argument Bill Russell made a while ago. R.I.P. Bill Russell. And I believe that's where a lot of this comes from, to the point to where even when it flies in the face of all reason and logic, they don't want to, they're in a way that, I mean, some of them are on some bullshit, and people like Lil Big Nate do a good job in showing how evil and sinister some of the plans are that they're trying to, concoct. But there are some people who actually coming from, I would say, a good place, a noble place of wanting to make sure everybody is treated fairly in a free country. But if your desire to do that leads you down a road to where your argument is so stupid, to where literally Shaquille O'Neal in his prime could identify as a woman and go play in the WNBA, that's where it just becomes just ridiculous. That's where it becomes pointless. That's where you've lost the argument. If your argument leads you to a place to where you're now saying that, yes, a grown-ass 40-year-old biological male can walk into a girl's locker room, into YMCA, where young girls are changing, 5-year-old girls are changing into their bathing suit, and he could have hairy dick and balls in the YMCA locker room around 5 and 6-year-old girls. If your ability to treat all people fairly leads you to that point, it's time to come back. It's time to come back to the drawing board and find a new starting place. Because I know some people, even though a lot of y'all don't believe it, but I do know some of these people are doing it from a noble place of wanting to treat people fairly. But it's like, no. The shit is going too far and have led you to just some horrible arguments.
Okay? That's how I would approach this. So yeah, we're in the middle of solving that problem now. Let's figure it out together.
I think a lot of people would have an issue with what you're saying, Neil, is because they see women being denied opportunities. They see an unfair playing field, metaphorically and literally speaking.
So fix the playing field, damn it. What? Don't say it's an unfair playing field, so all of a sudden the big issue is trans women taking the slot of a woman in an unfair playing field. Fix the playing field. And you know something? The day you fix that playing field, this conversation will look completely ridiculous.
You see how they made the wrong argument and opened themselves up to not lose, but he had a good enough comeback to where if they started complaining about things being unfair for women, it's already unfair for women. And then, the proper counter argument to that, if you're on Neil deGrasse Tyson's side of the argument, is to say, okay, let's make the playing field fair for women. And then now this small percentage of trans people taking spots from women won't be a big deal no more. Let's fix that. Let's execute for equity and equality You know, if somebody is making that argument, and in order to make that argument, you have to ignore a lot of other shit. Like there's no lack of equality or equity in like engineering, as if women aren't, you know, presented math, you know, when they growing up, coming out of high school, as if they don't have the option to go into engineering when they get out of high school. So like if somebody said, hey, we need to create equality when it comes to that, yeah, let's create equality, and then let's make quotas for women, and then you know, then you don't gotta be all making that argument with these quotas that we got for women to make some type of, you know, equity. These quotas, we don't got to worry about these quotas being taken by biological males if we just execute the quotas and make everything 50% in terms of equity across the board. People don't work that way. People are more complex than that. People of different, sexes and genders and backgrounds and upbringings end up wanting different things. It just may be the case that less women are interested in going into politics or parliament, as what they said. That may very well be the case. Now, not put it like this. I've seen no evidence that women en masse in America just lose elections. No, the women that want to go into politics, they tend to, I think, do well at the normal rate that you would pretty much expect. So the reflection of how many men are in politics versus how many women are in politics could be just reflective of how many men want those positions and go for those positions versus how many women do. SKC says, so the question what are people like Tyson lacking in their logic that allows them to go west in their arguments? What's the missing element? I don't know exactly what you mean. What's missing in their argument? We said, okay. What are people like Tyson lacking in their logic? I don't know what you mean by what's lacking in their logic. They're either logical or not logical. They're either being logical, but I think he is in every other conversation I hear him in, other than this one, other than when he leaves the realm of science and starts talking more to the social. Other than when he does that, he does tend to be, you know, very logical. So I think he has logic. I think he's just, you know, running up, you know, he's fighting an uphill battle for equity and inclusion at the detriment of logic, because the pursuit of equity and inclusion has, you know, has led them to a place where anything that the people that are unincluded say goes. And I think that's the roadblock. If I had to say where's the roadblock with Neil deGrasse Tyson, that's what I would have to say. Now you say people like Tyson. What do you mean by people like Tyson? You mean people who are more left-leaning, people who are scientists, people who are black? I don't know. What are we talking about? People like Tyson, you know. So I can, if you're talking about just people who are, you know, who are on the left, and the ones who I'm granting are doing it with pure intentions. That's what I think is going on. The ones that are doing it with pure intentions, they are trying to fight for somebody for equity and equality, and they're fighting for it, you know, at the expense of logic and reason. But the link is in the chat if anybody wants to come up and participate. Because I had other clips and everything ready to go, but it's, you know, this little activity, questions being thrown out there. Somebody wants to come up, they are more than welcome to come up and join into this conversation. Cole Steele in the building says he thinks virtue signaling will help. No, I don't think Neil deGrasse Tyson doing this for pussy. I don't. No. Put it like this, and this is something that I know because it was a time when I I don't know. Before I thought more or less the way that I think now. I used to listen to a lot of people who were more or less on the left. I used to listen to a lot of them. And I wasn't even listening to them necessarily for their liberal politics. I was listening to them for just, it was more, science, philosophical, religious conversations and debates that I was listening to. And a lot of them are left leaning, and what I found out in my, listening to them talk, listening to them break things down, yeah, they are all for, inclusion, equity, equality, and it stems from their like, they're not religious. They're not religious, but they are what they call secular humanist. And the humanists, their view, they're going to put human flourishing and well-being over everything. That's what they do. That at least that's how they plot it out. I mean, I'm making the argument as I used to see it presented all the time. For them, it was more about human flourishing and well-being, and that's where their bleeding heart took them. So whatever it was, and that's how they arrive at socialism. That's how they arrive at all those places. Whatever it is, let's help people. Let's do what we can to make people as comfortable as possible. That's just that's what it is. And I think they are, decades, if not centuries, ahead of it before their time. Like, if we was in a situation like I said the future of a technologically advanced civilization is Star Trek socialism. That's going to happen, but we ain't there yet. So, like, but that's what they're on. Like, I've listened to a lot of these folks talk, and they have some fascination with some type of Star Trek socialism that may end up being the case for the future of humanity. But right now, yes, they want everything even, everything fair, everything equal, everything, no discrepancies. They meanwhile, while wanting all of that, I mean, people like Neil deGrasse Tyson is rich and capitalizing off his capitalist country, where he's using his will, his skill, his talent, his wit to make more money than what he would have made in a lab studying, physics or whatever the hell. So there's that. There's that aspect of the game. But damn, we just lost Hood Conservative. So
These last $2, I'm not gonna lose.
thank you for that $2 super chat. But we are joined by SKC. So you have the floor, you have the mic. Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard.
Hey, what's going on, Bernard? Yeah, I didn't see all of your commentary on it, but I was just wondering about people like deGrasse Tyson. Often, like you said, he'll be brilliant when it comes to certain scientific phenomena, but in the form of like social commentary on human endeavors. A lot of these times, you'll just go way west. But there's been a lot of people that have done the same thing. You think of people like what's the great linguist? I forget his name, but he falls into the same category. Where, I mean, has totally changed the field of linguist. But when it goes to social commentary, governmental things, just completely just way west. And I don't know. You stated something like these guys may be pure in their
Are you
endeavors
talking
or
about Noam
using every.
Chomsky?
Yes, Noam Chomsky. And yeah, they may have a pure motive. But what I was asking is what is the element that is missing that allows them to go in those directions? In my estimation, I think that they get too full of themselves, egotistically, and believe that their greatness in one area can be applied to several different areas instead of understanding that they're a specialist in a variety of different areas, and that they too have logical holes and fallacies that they fall into and biases that they become unaware of. And I think a lot of that has to do with ego.
You might be onto something with that. It could be something to that they leave their particular field of discipline and they they start talking about other stuff. Dinesh D'Souza, I was gonna say famously, but funnily said that when Richard Dawkins stopped writing books about biology, he wrote The God Delusion. And he was in his, Dinesh D'Souza said, "This is what happened when you let a biologist out of the lab," basically saying you're speaking on matters of religion and philosophy that are, I won't say above your pay grade, but just not your field. So it could be something to that. It could be something to that. They think that their brilliance in one area is going to transfer over to another
Yeah.
areas. So yeah, no,
To kind of dumb it down a little bit, it's to give an example would be how you have some sports players that were great on the court, but they're
and then
horrible
they
in
think
commentary.
they think they can rap.
Or they can rap, or even just the being able to communicate the game intelligently to a mass audience. They're unable to do that, or some that are unable to motivate and coach or lead others.
No, that's a very good point as well. There's a lot of commentators who give, in my opinion, terrible analysis, and they just speaking from emotions. They have the talent, the skill, the gift to play the sport, but far as breaking it down logically, they suck at it.
Steven Jackson.
I don't really I haven't listened to that much of sports commentary. I always hear him talking about other shit or interviewing people. But yeah, but it's some of them that fall in that category. I mean, damn near all of them. A lot of the older players. I don't want to get into a sports debate when the older they get, the better they used to be and stuff. But yeah, but anyway. All right, let's stay on topic. I can talk all day on the sports shit. But all right, let's hood conservative. What you got on this with your boy Neil? What you got on this?
I want to kind of go in the same direction, in a similar direction as SKC, but I want to sharpen the knife a little bit. I don't know if it's just when you said it's an element of ego. I think yes, it's a huge element of egotism, but I think it's not born of pure authority, like the whole arguing from authority fallacy. I don't think it's born of a pure sense of I know it all and I'm right and you're wrong. I think there's definitely an element, there's a core of that. Well, there's a part of that at its core,
I know where you're going.
But I think at its core, it's darker than just I'm right and you're wrong. It's actually I'm good and you're evil.
Correct.
Yeah.
And when you look at how Neil related to those guys, he never stood on a gotcha moment of pure logical gravity. None of his gotcha moments were just, vice grip logic. It wasn't like that. All of his gotcha moments were like, well, if you disagree with me, then I just don't know what country we live in. If you don't think I'm right, then I don't know what kind of people you are. It's all a moralistic grandstanding. And what I take from that is, and this is what's dangerous about these people and why I reject, even though I know it's a good faith steel manning that you do for the sake of argument, the show and whatnot, as a matter of course, I reject their principle offhand. Just out of pocket, I reject them because they are not doing this out of a sense of actual nobility. They aren't bringing this up out of a sense of righteousness and justice. They are doing it because they think we are evil and we must be eradicated. And so our transphobia, as they see it, is a sign of our evil. It's also connected to racism, as you pointed out earlier, and racism being the prima facie evil. It must all be destroyed. And so, even though he will approach it in a way that is collegiate and colloquial, and he's going to be nice to a certain degree, he thinks we're evil and we must be destroyed because we don't believe boys can be girls. These people are
Correct.
dangerous and they should never be seen as anything less than dangerous.
Good points. Good points. Very well said. And you hit on perfectly what I was alluding to, because like I said, it was a time when I used to listen to a lot of them, not for political reasons, but I used to listen to a lot of them. You know, they would be debating, you know, the Bible, debating science, debating all of that stuff. I used to love listening to those debates. And where they would take it more or less is that it would almost be a moral, almost like a moral dictate where they arrived at their conclusions, almost like it's essentially their religion. Like humanism is their religion, and humanism says, you know, treat all people with fair equity, equality, and justice. And anybody who doesn't do that, you're absolutely right that they view you as evil. And then that's where they get in a place where they don't care about the logic of their arguments anymore. They have to defeat evil. And so how do you argue with that? And with this is what's crazy about it. And it's kind of deep, because you ask, you know, I don't know if to say most people on the right, but definitely people who are on the Christian right, the religious right. They little big Nate who's not a Christian, but you know, Nate thinks they're evil. So it's like both sides think the other side is equally evil. It's so that makes it to the point to where it's almost like not even a culture war of words. It just turns into the other side is evil. We have to stop them. You said eradicate. You know, I'm pretty sure that nobody is at gas chamber level of you know, with this shit, but they do want to eradicate certain ideas. Or maybe you disagree. You unmuted when you hold on. Wait, time out. Notice hood conservative unmuted when I said gas chamber. So
Yep.
I'm at the edge of my seat now.
No, I'm not even talking about. I'm not even gonna, because you know, listen, I believe in the alternative theory of World War II history, so we'll just leave it at that. But as far as the eradicate part, when Neil deGrasse Tyson settled on the single sex bathroom, there is no male bathroom, there is no female bathroom. This motherfucker is eradicating gender. So if you're going to use the eradicate word, I mean, they're doing it already, and they're doing it casually so that we don't smell the gas building up in the chamber.
Yeah, it's people trying to tell you that your mind isn't right. And by virtue of that, you're not an evolved human. And it's, you know, people can take it lightly, but that's where I think those major arguments come between the more of the secular and then the religious groups, where on one end you'll have the secular group saying, oh, look at all the evil that has been done in the name of religion, and then the religious guys can say, yeah, but look at what you guys have been doing. I mean, you say you come with this whole thing of oh, we're just doing what's best for humanity and blah blah blah, but the history shows that there's been a lot of death and killing behind that, based upon who has the right idea.
Mm-hmm. And in those debates that I used to listen to, that used to come up. Like Dinesh D'Souza used to hit them over the head with that a lot. He would add up the non-religious, the atheist body count. You know, when you're talking about Stalin and Pol Pot and all the, you know, he would get into that, and that would sort of be the debate, like that your views, your thoughts, your perspective has led to the bloodiest wars and the most killing. And then so on the religious side, you can't really, make that argument. But either way it goes, all roads are leading back to you're inherently evil. No, you're inherently evil. I just really looked at that today, like, wow, both sides think the other side is evil. I just thought about that, and it's like there's no debate.
What's interesting about the deGrasse Tyson thing is both of those people are lefties. That's why I was cracking up in the chat. I'm like, it's two snowflakes trying to melt each other, because you got the one guy like, what about women's rights? And the other guy's like, trans women are women too. And I'm like, you're both gay.
I literally just heard that in a debate. I was going to play it. It was the conversation went exactly like you said. One person, because they were talking about the bathrooms, and then it was Dinesh D'Souza. Now that I think about it, it was Dinesh D'Souza and somebody I probably don't know named Matt Dillahunty, and Dinesh D'Souza said, "Look, the whole trans bathroom stuff or whatever. The person most likely being harmed or hurt in a bathroom is a woman." And then Matt Dillahunty said, "Trans women are women." so yeah, I know women are most likely to be hurt because trans women are women. It's like the conversation just goes to that point to where it's like, I'm just starting to realize not much of a conversation can be had, damn near. But we got Fantastic in the building.
Well, hold on. Before Fantastic goes on the mic, let me just add this final quip, because you were on the edge of your seat. You thought I was going to go off the deep end when you mentioned gas chambers, and I'm not. But I will point out to you, the only effective solution historically that we can all point to is to shave your mustache down and learn to speak German. That was the only time we ever got close to.
Whoa, time out. You Borgen. You Borgen. Probably fortunately that you was Borgen, but I am curious. What did you say? that was God intervening to save my life.
That's God. That's God. Man. Leave it alone, man.
All right, but go ahead, Fantastic. Go ahead.
Yeah, what's going on? Yeah, man. It's crazy. Thomas Sowell actually talks about this. He talks about how exactly what you guys and SKC was mentioning. As when you get into these the intellectuals, they really don't know how to specialize. They say, hey, I have a really, really high IQ. So that's like across the board. And some of the most tragic things and decisions that have ever been made in history were done by intellectuals that had, because, another thing too is, there's a reason why people say like highly intelligent people are socially awkward, because they usually, they don't get along with people that are, or don't understand a lot of things. And the smarter you get, the less empathy and sympathy you have. So, when you get this stuff to where you have Neil deGrasse Tyson that's coming from talking about fucking supernovas and quasars and all of this wonderful science shit to, intersectionality and gender studies and all these other things. It's like, bro, what bathroom do you go to? Okay, it's crazy that I'm saying this, but what your mama is, right? Could your mom have you if your mom was a trans woman? No, she couldn't, because he'd be a he. So yeah, man, it's just crazy as to how the smart people, like the old folks used to say, you got all the book sense but no common sense.
Yeah. I mean, they got it's deep. It's deeper than that that they lack in common sense. I legit think they have common sense. I think it's they're on a fight for human rights, and they don't realize that they have overreached. Sort of like one parallel that we could draw with this: Black people was in a fight for rights. They got civil rights. There was other little stuff that that was fought for, and we got that. We got this. It's almost like we more or less got everything that we need, and it's to the point to where the stuff that we complaining about now is turned into a point to where it's like, wait, hold on, you doing too much now. but it's like you're still fighting. You know, black people still like fighting the old war, so to speak.
You still act like you got to step off the sidewalk when Mr. Charlie walked by you and stuff like that, and you we can't go in the front, we got to go in the back. Like that's what we talk about here, man. You know, and if you do that, of course, I don't know if SKC is still here, but shout out to present company.
Yeah.
You get called, certain things and certain names, and that grift, man, is running very, very short. A lot more people. I don't know if y'all saw the thing that happened with Tariq Nasheed, right? Because Tariq Nasheed just made a big deal about the two kids that killed that man, that ran the man over, and he was like, when they don't show the names because they're white people or whatever. They were talking about white Hispanics and all these other things, and people are really starting to come down on him, man. And he's not even getting these interviews anymore. That he used to get, so on and so forth. Because I'm telling you, man, I told y'all this 3 years ago. That race card, bro, that shit is expired. Ain't gonna be no replacement. You can't get ain't gonna be no reissuing. It's over with, man. And it's too many people of other minorities that are being successful, but one of which are LGBT themselves. So nobody is listening to black people cry wolf anymore about lack of opportunity, and nobody even takes the word racism serious. Because it's just like, bro, what opportunity do you not have? You know what I'm saying? Of course, racism will and again, there will never be a point in time where racism will not exist. Just like there'll never be a point in time where crime won't exist, or, just bad things in general. So this whole thing is like, we're going to complain and we're going to talk about this and all these things until there's no more racism. It's never going to happen. And more people are just starting to get tired of it, black people at that. Even with this black women starting to talk shit about the Democratic Party. You know what I'm saying? So again, man, it's a big change that I think we saw coming before anybody else. But just because we were like the boots on the ground and the people that were brave enough to talk about the shit, take some of a lot of the arrows and shit. People don't understand it, but we literally seeing a big change happening, bro, right before our eyes.
Good stuff. Sir Tice in the building says, just when you thought he couldn't get worse than his PBD appearance, he does / says this, shaking my head to think we used to think he was an authority. Well, I mean, there's a certain subject matter that I do think he's still an authority on, but I mean, he's going. He should have left this one alone. Just said something generic about fairness and treating people right, and then it wouldn't have been that much of an argue. He fucked up when he brought chromosomes into it and said the chromosomes are not enough to determine male and female. No, that's just where it got stupid. But I'm glad you brought up PBD, because I had another clip ready to go, because the guy I forget how to say his name. The guy who's like the head of Young Turks actually went on Valuetainment and was talking with Patrick Bet Davis about this topic. So I had that clip ready to go. If I wasn't going to do a panel, that was going to be my next clip, either that or the Trevor Noah thing. But this one is fairly brief, and it's only like 4 minutes long, and we'll dig into this, and I'll get y'all reaction on this.
Let's pull up the Neil deGrasse Tyson video, okay? Can you do me a favor? Let's see if we can agree on this. Pull up the Neil deGrasse Tyson video.
Wait, hold on, bro.
Let's see if we can agree on this. So here's.
Hold on. All right, go ahead.
No, I was saying one of the things I kind of observe about this whole, especially the transgender issue, is that it's a fundamental disruption of basic reality. This is why I think it's so dangerous. Like I genuinely believe that the people who are the T's, the transgenders, are almost predators by default, because I think the whole thing is predatory in nature. And when you look at this transgender argument, do you realize once you destroy the fundamental difference between male and female, you're also attempting to destroy that across nature. Like everything in the world essentially operates on the sexual reproduction between males and females. Like the goddamn plants are male and female. And so I think this is like a very fundamental attack on the structure of our reality.
Let's get into it. Let's get into this one. But man, the way you put it is like, damn. Like I never I didn't look at it like that, but no, I can't. Yeah, I got no. You be hitting the nail on the head. You be hitting the nail on the head.
Can you do me a favor? Let's see if we can agree on this. Pull up the Neil deGrasse Tyson video, okay? Let's see if we can agree on this. So here's a clip. I want to know what you think about the scientist, what he's saying. Whether you and I can...
That's not Neil deGrasse Tyson. I'm aware that all black people look alike, but that is Stephen A. Smith. You got the wrong black guy up there. I'm joking.
Agree that this is absolutely ludicrous, or you may say, no, I think there's a point here. Go ahead and play this clip.
Point is, apparently, the XXXY chromosomes are insufficient because when we wake up in the morning, we exaggerate whatever feature we want to portray the gender of our choice. Either the one you're assigned, the one you choose to be, whatever it is. And so now, so now just to tie a bow on this, I say to you, somewhere I think I read that the United States was a land where we have the pursuit of happiness.
Yes.
Suppose no matter my chromosomes, today I feel 80% female, 20% male. I'm gonna put on makeup. I'm gonna do that. Tomorrow I might feel 80% male. I'll remove the makeup and I'll wear a muscle shirt. Why do you care?
No one cares about it.
What business is it of yours to require that I fulfill your inability to think of gender on a spectrum?
Okay, pause this. So why do you care? Before I give you mine, do you agree with what he's saying?
I largely agree.
Tell me why.
So, first of all, freedom. I thought the right wing was in favor of freedom. So if people want to be trans, why do you care? I totally agree with that. And so taking away rights from people, no, we're all 100% Americans. You shouldn't take away any rights. But if you get into the details, that's where some folks on the left have attacked me as a transphobe because I disagree on 2% of the issues. So you tell me what your policy you're talking about, and I'll give you my answer.
So, for example, if you like, one of my favorite shows, I went with my wife in Vegas. Absent, I think it was called Absent, or whatever it was. I don't know if you've been to it or not. Have you seen the show?
Caesar's Palace.
It's
great.
Freaking insane show. But guess what it is? A lot of crazy stuff you're going to see. We were entertained. As adults, we were absolutely entertained. No problem. You want to dress up, you want to do whatever, you want to be gay after you're 18 years old, go for it. You want to change your sex, you want to go from having this to cutting this, Caitlyn Jenner, do your thing. Whatever, you're an adult. Pushing that agenda onto kids and confusing people and gaslighting that, hey, XX, who knows? Maybe XY, who knows? When you start talking like that with facts and you're a respectable scientist, not only do you sound delusional, but what you sound like is someone like Leon Black, that somebody has something behind closed doors on you that's blackmailing you, that you have to now agree with these positions. For somebody to say, how the hell did you go from being a respected scientist to all of a sudden saying, one day I can wake up feeling like a female, one day I can wake up feeling like a male, and why do you care? No one cares. The only care where I think Democrats are losing a big part of their base, where I don't know if you saw the stats that came out talking about senior boys are becoming overly conservative. Did you see this chart or no? That just came out yesterday or the day before. Rob, do you have this or no? Do you want me to text it to you? Type in senior boys conservative. Yeah, if you can, this is the Hill. If you can go, high school boys are trending conservative. And if you go and show the chart, there's that chart right there. If you look at that, zoom out a little bit so we can read the whole survey. Okay, so political identities of...
Wait, hold on. I'm backing it up a little bit.
Only do you sound delusional, but what you sound
like...
Oh,
yeah.
is
I remember now. Before we get into all of that, what do y'all think about the idea when he threw it out there that somebody has something over him? Like they got some pictures of him doing some gay shit. No, just playing. But well, maybe. But but somebody got something over him. I took that as bought and paid. What do y'all think about it from that angle?
I don't even think it's that serious. I think it's more an issue of like when somebody called it virtue signaling, and I think Bernard, you were saying how he ain't getting no pussy or nothing. The point of virtue signaling isn't just
to
about
be fair, somebody super chatted saying he's doing this because he think it'll get him some more pussy, and then I responded by saying, he's not doing this for pussy. But just to be clear,
Right.
I didn't bring pussy into this conversation. But go ahead.
No. I'm with you. We're still in sync here. The point I was making is that the virtue signal in and of itself isn't about just pussy. That's a completely different set of objectives. What he's virtue signaling for is he's a member of the church. And that's what his virtue signal is about. He's trying to signal that I am one of the good people. I am one of the high ordained trans priests. And so that's kind of what he's signaling, that I'm a part of the club. And so it's not a matter of somebody has something over him. It's that somebody will not put something over him because he's a high priest in the club.
Okay, when you say part of the church, you mean like the church of what? Secular humanism?
Yeah, the Church of Global Homo.
The what?
The Church of Global Homo. Worldwide homosexuality.
Okay, all right. Just want to make sure when
it's the phrase. I swear to God, I did not create that phrase. Global Homo. That's kind of the mocking title of this weird gender bending thing, because it's not just America. It's all over the Western world. And so it's Neil deGrasse Tyson is signaling his membership in the church. That's the virtue signal we're really talking about. It's not about girls. He's married and he probably don't even care about girls no more.
All right. SKC, do you put any stock in the idea that somebody has something over him, whether it's bought and paid or what's your thoughts on that?
I don't think that anybody has anything over him. I think he's a true believer. And I think that the underlying issue of a lot of these conversations goes back to the great creation debate. And because that argument aligns more with the side of randomness, then he's going to go on the flow with that one.
Yeah, there's some validity. I didn't know where you was going when you said a part of the creation debate, but no, if you accept evolution, and which I do, that's why I have no problem accepting. Like I don't think people get socialized into being gay. I think it's just very possible with the random nature of it, that if you put a million human beings off of the human being assembly line, there's going to be a few of them where that's not going to pass the green light check like they did doing automotive plants. When you got to hold on real quick. I mean, let me just lay out my point that I've said this before, that when I worked on assembly lines, we work on steering columns. We assembled 1,400 of them a day. It was at least 3 of them, no matter what, something was wrong with them. No matter how good of a job we did, it was just it's a percentage that's going to fall within a certain spec where they just not going to be quite right, and we couldn't sell them. We threw them out, and that's really where their humanity argument is coming from. It's some people that come off the assembly line not quite right, but with their humans, we just can't chuck them over the cliff, So that's where we got to treat them well. Now I'm not in now, so my general argument, is why some of the premises I accept, that there are some people that are just different. They just born that way, and it is what it is. But that still don't mean that we need to change everything that we're doing and make everything dictate around their personal feelings so they can feel better about themselves. That's where the arguments get stupid. So they can feel better about themselves, we need to let biological men compete in sports. It's like, that's where it gets stupid to me. But I accept that person do got some shit going on in his brain that's not normal, and I don't think he can do nothing about it. I do accept that.
Well, the argument.
Well, I wanted to challenge a point you just made.
Go ahead.
Give me a second. The whole thing about socializing homosexuality. If you cannot socialize people into homosexuality, then you're going to have to explain to me what your objection is towards the teachers with the gay stuff in the schools. What is your objection towards them cutting off perfectly good genitalia of children? If you can't socialize homosexuality, then explain why the left is actually trying to socialize children into homosexuality. They're literally trying to do it. So tell me how it's not a possibility if they're actually doing it.
They're hypocrites in that regard, because you're right. They are trying to socialize it, but what they would say is that, no, we're just trying to make sure there's a baseline percentage of people that are gay. What we're trying to do, or there's a baseline percentage of people that are trans, or that are trans. What we're trying to do is make sure that this next generation of children are accepting and welcoming of them, and not bigots like you boomers in Gen X.
Well,
that's what they
deeper.
would say. I know. Hold on, wait. Somebody got wait. Just is that? Oh no, we'll just mute up for 5 seconds. Hood. That's what they would say, but it runs deeper. Damn it, I just lost what I would say. But it runs deeper than that, because they're going beyond that when they, puberty blockers for kids, surgeries and shit for kids, all kind, like they're so that's where legitimate argument could be made of, let's just not be bigots of those in society that are a little different. They go beyond that with all this extra shit, and then that's where people like me, who used to understand their arguments going back to 2016, 2017 version of me, that's where I used to completely get it. But that's where I had to hop off the train. Like, no, y'all done got on some stupid shit. Y'all want dicks in the girls' locker room now. That's why I had to abandon ship.
You mean tampons in the boys' restroom? I don't think that.
Wait, Hood, hold on. I think Hood wanted to get one more response in to me. Go ahead.
Well, the final layer, I think people need to understand, this is all a very convoluted attack on the very, and this is something I really be Black conversations. I always say Black culture has a weird relationship to masculinity. We always skew masculinity through a racial lens, but this is not dangerous to femininity, right? The femininity at its most extreme expressions is still allowed, even by men. That's why the transgender thing is accepted, because you can be a woman if you're a man, but you're not allowed to be a man if you're a man, and you're not allowed to take masculinity to its most extreme conclusion, which would probably be some kind of homophobia, transphobia as well. But that's ultimately the thing, is to tamp down on masculinity as a concept, because it is masculinity that is inherently threatening. Transsexuality is not inherently threatening to the world order. Femininity is not inherently threatening. It is only masculinity that must be ultimately conquered. And any time you want to conquer something, you have to deal with actual men, and that's the true goal, is to radically alter and destroy the concept of masculinity. This is why I take issue with the whole black male studies thing. I pointed that out to you in a different stream, Bernard. I'm like, bro, they got a fight on their hands and they don't even see it coming.
Yeah. No, you made a good point. As soon as they say black male studies, okay, gay black men are men.
Right.
Trans men are men. they gotta get roped in there, and So, go ahead, Sir Tice. You got it, Sir Tice.
Yeah, how queer theory was put into the advanced placement Black history course, and then when DeSantis said no to that shit, it got made as he's against Black studies, when it was really because of the queer theory he didn't want into that. But no one wants to dig through that. Anyways, that's not what compelled me to come up. I'm dealing with a cold, so pardon me. Dealing with this, like I said, dealing with this cold. I didn't gather that what PBD said. What I gathered very simply was he's saying you are basically accredited as being very knowledgeable in a topic such as, or I know he's like an astrophysicist or something like that, but basically, zeros and ones, mathematics, where there is where there is one definitive answer, right? So when you come out saying this BS that you're saying, Neil deGrasse Tyson, You sound compromised, like somebody has something over you. Not necessarily literally they have it. That's what you sound like. And it basically diminishes your credibility on something because you're respected on a topic that you have to have definitive answers to. That's what I gathered what PBD said.
Well, I'll follow you on that one, um, Tice. In that, I think I think it's more of an issue of these guys wanting to not delve with or handle serious questions, which typically science is supposed to handle. And take for instance with this whole thing of like the transgenderism and all of that other stuff. Does that push humanity forward for the good? It seems like that should be a scientific question of which they would want to answer if they're on the side of this quote unquote humanism. And
They would say yes.
then if they say yes, then I'm going to go into their own bag and I'm going to say, okay, well, what is your scientific argument for that? Extraordinary evidence requires extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence.
Brief interruption.
Can I caution you with this? Can I caution you? I think that is a very dangerous, slippery slope. And it's a fundamental conversation, but I think you need to highlight something. Science has absolutely zero determination on what is or is not good.
Right. And that's the whole point. That's the whole point argument, hood conservative. When they get into that bag, then they're going back to the fundamental question of, okay, now you're basically playing this whole thing of you have a God complex because you're now stating you know what is best for all of mankind, so forth. And the only reason that you could go that far and to do those things is if you believe that everything was a big accident in the first place. So then you would have answers like, what difference does it make?
Thank you. I was going to say, SKC, you said all that to say, I'm not minimizing what you're saying. You're correct. But when you go into the I don't care or why do you care route, which is one of the B-Dub's main, chief paramount retort to any form of criticism, oh man, do you lose a ton of credibility there.
I agree when soon as he said, why do you care? I knew it was over and he didn't have an argument. But as far as what SKC said, it was part of what you said I did want to respond to the when you said, because damn it. You said something about do they think this is better for human beings? One, they would say yes, because any humanist, their view of morality, it deals with human flourishing and well-being, and it's so they will make the case that it's for the better well-being of humans who are trans to be accepted in society and to get whatever treatment they think is going to help them be less likely to commit suicide. That literally would be their argument. And as far as, and hold on, well, real quick, what was the other thing you said at the end?
Yeah, I was asking like if they're going to say yes to that, then I'm going to ask the scientific question of what is your scientific argument for that? Give me the extraordinary evidence that fulfills your extraordinary claim.
Yeah. Oh no, you're talking about what's the evidence that this
transgenderism is going to push humanity forward for the good. Go into your scientific bag and prove it. That's what the scientific model is built off of, right?
Well, you're asking a real good question, and what they would have to do, and I don't think they got any data on this, is any of the whatever problems that they say trans people have. They allege that trans people are being killed. I literally just heard this in a debate. They say that trans people are being killed at an alarming rate, and they say that their suicide rate of them is high. Is there any evidence that anything that they've been doing has decreased that suicide rate? And is there any evidence that this acceptance and tolerance movement has somehow reduced the alleged violence against them? I have my theory about that violence. I think it's when somebody finds out the hard way, pun intended, that woman was a man, then that's where that violence takes place. I think it's a very small percentage of people who just say who just do like Jesse Smollett, Juicy Smouye's imaginary attackers, who says, hey, that's that gay nigga from Empire, and attack. So I don't think people are just saying, hey, there's that trans person, and then attack. Like, no, I don't think it's happening like that. But either way it goes, they should be able to produce some kind of data that shows.
But
they should be. Hold on, wait. No, let me land this plane before I throw it back. If they could, they need to be able to produce some kind of data that shows that the puberty blockers, the trans people that got puberty blockers became less suicidal or something like that. That's the only way they could produce some data. But other than that, they're basically just, on bleeding heart, humanity, we are the world, we are the children, let's just treat everybody well, even at the expense of disrupting everybody else with this trying to treat them well.
Right. But then there comes the impasse then, because a lot of the quote unquote arguments that I would say many from that community will postulate, that will put forth, they will state, oh man, on this religious thing and so forth, the quote unquote books that you guys go by says this, but you're doing this, you're hypocrites. Okay, well, on the other side of that, the scientific models that you put forth, the scientific methods that you put forth, it disrupts your entire claim of everything about transgenderism. If you actually follow the methodology, it would prove what you're saying is incorrect. So then what are you doing? I thought that you were the scientist.
Are you saying that from a biological standpoint,
they're hypocrites? They are hypocrites.
Yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson. Yeah, any scientist who's making that exact argument is being hypocritical. He shouldn't make he shouldn't include chromosomes or anything in biology. Somebody just said that Richard Dawkins said that there's only two genders. Richard Dawkins is a biologist. He's standing on his biology. But I know for a fact, I don't know if I've heard him say it, but I know for a fact, yes, I have heard him say it. I know for a fact Richard Dawkins would make the human to human feel goody, let's treat people well, let's love all people, and do whatever we can to help people flourish in their own quest or pursuit of happiness. Like, they can make that argument about those in society who are different. Let's treat them like people. Like, if they make that argument, I know Hood and I think Sir Tice may not be with me on that, but I can go with that argument. They're still human beings. Let's treat them like people. But no, they're not. They're not women.
So then I ask you, Bernard, then, if that's their, I guess, big comeback argument, then I'll just go straight to Trek. It's like, do the needs of the few outweigh the needs of the many?
Well,
if we're talking about humans surviving as a species.
Right. Well, see, here's the thing. Them getting what they need, how is it affecting the many? That would be the argument. Now, where I would say it's affecting
their right of association. It's affecting the way that they lead their lives. It's affecting how they use their limited resources, which are on the planet. It's affecting how they teach their children. It's affecting a lot of things.
Well, and I want to make my argument that I would make.
It's affecting their rights as a free citizen of the planet.
Wait, hold on. Whose rights are being affected as a free citizen?
I would say the normal people.
How are your? Hold on, wait.
Right now, I'm gonna give you a scenario right now. If you go to jail, or if you have to pay some type of fine because you refuse to call a man a woman, misgendering as it's called, which is a law on the books, whose rights have been affected? Who has lost something and who has gained something?
Mine, absolutely, and that is some bullshit. So 100% on that.
Fundamental. Why do I care? I care because you're trying to attack me. That's why I care.
Yeah, no, and that's fair. That's the ironclad argument right there. When they start putting rights and laws on the books that affect other people from doing or saying normal shit. My argument that I was going to make is, not along the lines of the rights of the few versus the rights of the many or whatever. It was, I could just make just a simple argument that when my live and let live argument only exists after 18. The stuff that the puberty blockers for children is stupid. Like that's where my argument is. Any type of surgery on kids that's related to anything trans is stupid. Like that's
I think
my argument is that simple, and it is not even an argument. I mean, other than the example that you gave, I'm personally not affected by somebody doing that stupid shit to their kids, but I still think that shouldn't even be a thing. Like that's morally reprehensible, and it should be stopped.
This is the problem. I'd say when you even when I said you lose by even playing the game, this is what I mean by that. You're starting the clock in the middle of the round.
Mm-hmm.
You have to run the clock back to the beginning, which is these people have a mental illness. Once we moved off of that, then we were already welcoming all of the other down the river questions, because we have now accepted mental illness as normal. So if we're going to go along with mental illness, then yes, of course we can take a little girl's breast away, because there's no such thing as mental illness anymore. And that's why you're wrong, because you're actually condoning the argument in favor of mental illness.
Okay, they're mentally ill. Okay, what do we do with mentally ill people?
Well, then I would just say by the scientific way. How could anyone be against the answer, who cares?
What? Are you like throwing who cares back at like Neil deGrasse Tyson right now? Like, I don't understand what's going on.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh no. No, you got a perfect clap back to Neil deGrasse Tyson. That's why his who cares argument was some bullshit, and he knew it was bullshit. But I'm not Neil deGrasse Tyson. I would never make that argument. The argument that I'm making is I stand on the live and let live argument over 18. Let them do what they want to do, but don't take anybody else's rights in pursuit of them cutting their dick off. If they want to cut their dick off, that's their business. So,
I'll even say,
and hold on, and they're cutting their dick off because they're mentally ill. Okay, these people are mentally ill. Okay, but so what do we do with them other than just live and let live and let them cut their dick off? That's what I'm trying to see what y'all getting at.
No, we don't have to do anything. No, that's the point. You don't have to do anything with them. They will eventually kill themselves, and I think we just have to let it happen. We do not restructure our entire mental organization for people who are destined to take themselves out of the game anyway. You are never part of the life equation. You are a part of the anti-life equation, and I think we have to let the equation play itself out. To restructure our society is to only put our society on the path to anti-life. And that's kind of what I wanted to get back to with SKC when you raised the question of this is the good. You have to move the ball back even earlier with that question. SKC, what is good?
Okay, now we can go there.
Wait, hold on. Before he answer what is good, like real quick. Let me hold on. Let me get. I got super chats on deck, but eclectic agitator says Dr. Shiva #, truth, freedom, health. Look it up. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate
These
it.
last $2, I'm not gonna lose.
I will try to remember to look up Dr. Shiva. But shout out to you. Appreciate the super chat. Shout out to True Hype. He says he did get me too'd a few years back. Why the hell is Hood? I didn't know Hood served this shit logo. Oh shit. I didn't know my camera was off all this time, but I was supposed to be right. Hold on. Let me fix that. Wait a second. Hold up. All right. Now, I think I got it. All right. Wait, hold on. I can do it like that. All right, my bad. I pushed the wrong button. All right. True Hype in the building said he did get Me Too'd a few years back. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. It's yeah. I don't know how that's necessarily related, but yeah.
These last $2, I'm not gonna lose.
He says, and also, Eclectic Agitator says Dr. Shiva is the hot topic in politics. Why no show? I'm a little lost on the significant. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. I'll be in the dark on some stuff. But also, last but not least, shout out to Salty Balls with a $90 cash app. Thank you very much for coming through hard and heavy handed. We gonna go on and draw.
Suck on my chocolate salty balls. Put them in your mouth. Put them in your mouth and suck them and suck them.
All right, shout out to Salty Boss. Shout out to everybody supporting the stream. Eclectic Agitator, True Hype, Sir Tice, Cold Steel, and Carlo. Appreciate each and every one of you. And of course, I forgot the question that was needing to be asked. It was SKT was about to answer a question. Do y'all remember the question he was about to answer?
Hood
What
Conservative
is
brought up
good?
the idea of what is
Okay.
good, which is, one of the fundamental questions that goes back into time and all that other stuff. Again, the creation debate comes up again. However, I would say this, Hood Conservative, arguing with a hand behind my back, just going from the scientific perspective, going from those who are stating science is the ultimate truth, then there should be either one or two answers. Either good should be the improvement of the human condition globally, perhaps even if you want to go further than that, throughout the galaxy and all that stuff, or it can be who cares? We're just an accident anyway. One of the two. You
One quick
pick.
correction: it's not science is the ultimate truth. Science is the best method to get to the truth. It's a small tidbit. But go ahead.
Yeah,
Hood.
but either way, if you have a person that states, "Oh, we should be doing good is for humans is the improvement of the human condition globally or
Mhm.
overall," or if there's a person from the science bag that says, "What are you talking about good? It doesn't matter. We're all accidents anyway." Science can't argue for or against either one.
You're technically right that science doesn't necessarily say what's good or what's bad. When I've listened to people, and I agree with this statement, so I'm not just still manning somebody right now. If we care, the argument goes, if we care about human flourishing, like that's basically a presupposition. The presupposition is human flourishing is a good thing. If we can agree on that, then we can measure human suffering. And yes, science can be used to help measure human suffering or human flourishing or human, so like that's how that would go. That's what I would say to that. There is it is an argument, and this happens in the the creation debates, the theist atheist debates. If we're all just matter, then what's the point? What's the difference between smashing smashing a rock against an inanimate object or smashing it against a human being? It's just atoms and molecules, all the same. Like that's the argument that they make, but then then I don't want to say it turns into a semantical argument. It just turns into an argument where the person who's not, acknowledging a creator has to start with the supposition that human well-being and human flourishing is a good thing, and then argue from there. And I agree with that
Yeah.
argument.
Well, I'll say this. I don't understand how the people that are completely on the scientific side state, how do you argue against the individual who says it doesn't matter? We're just accidents anyway. Just as you have free will to believe in the whole idea of humanity should be moving towards the good, I, as a same creature of that humanity, should be able to believe that I can do whatever the F I want. And if that means effing up every single one of you and getting what I need in the process, you have no scientific argument against that.
Yeah, well, the rest of
Because
us
you
who
are
wish,
just as an accident as I am.
the rest of us who wish to live and flourish will create a jail cell for you who does not care about people living and flourishing. So whether or not it's a ironclad scientific argument for that or not, I mean, like I said, the supposition, the presupposition is that human well-being is a good thing.
Right.
You know,
Now, I can go with that argument and follow along with the people who say that. But then in that group of people who say, like you said, that presupposition should be a given. Hey, we
mhm,
should do what's in the good of the species of mankind and so forth.
mhm,
Well, we're now in the time of quant, um, AI.
mhm.
It's very easy for us to plug in a lot of the information that we have about our species into various programs that can tell us and give great projections of whether or not a lot of the questions that are being talked about, such as transgenderism, is good for the outcome of the species. And
Hmm.
if we actually believe in science, then we would go that approach instead of leaning on somebody's feelings.
You said something interesting, and this is where you'll run into problems with the AI, because the AI is a little left leaning. Like if you put into the AI, does benefiting trans people, I don't know how you would word the question, but if you ask a question about trans people and them their life flourishing and being, happy and blah 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 blah, is that good for humanity? It's going to give you a roundabout answer that's going to lead to yes. That's what the AI is going to do.
Well, it
So,
depends on the prompt. Depends on the prompts that you give. If you ask deep-seated questions like life expectancy, productivity, so far as human beings, how would this have long-term repercussions towards um, government, various other interactions such as reproduction and so forth, the AI is going to pump out the real answers to that, and then you're not going to be able to deny that. Oh, okay, so yeah, obviously this is not good for humanity long term. Thus, we have to
I,
get rid of it scientifically. But the
I
scientists aren't doing that type of work in order to get
no,
to
they're
those
not.
answers.
No, they're not, because they care again. They care so much about human well being that they're not going to see it that way, but they should. And you make a good point in that if data shows that it's, roundabout way negative for humanity, then yeah, then I think you have to look at that data. You legitimately have to look at that data. One thing that we can definitely relate to, given this is a black sector of YouTube to talk about black culture and everything. Like, somebody should be able to produce and present some scientific data. It's technically already been presented in many roundabout ways, that how certain things that are supposed to benefit black people is actually not going to benefit them. It's actually maybe end up being more detrimental to them in the long term to do this thing or that initiative or this initiative. And they should be able to look at the data on that, run the numbers, the analytics, the possible projections. Like, I remember when Thomas Sowell said that he thought raising the minimum wage was a good thing, and then he ran the total numbers on it, and he realized that, oh shit, I'll be out of a job in 6 months if they raise the minimum wage to where I think it should be. So yes, that's proper science. So they should be doing that kind of science and coming up with projections that, hey, this isn't going to work out how we plan. And if they do that with some of all this trans shit and come to those conclusions, I would hope or wish that they would have the balls to say that that's not going to work. That's not beneficial. I would,
and
yeah.
that science does exist and we know it exists because at the turn of the century, we were looking at stuff like Watson being able to play chess with humans and so forth. So being able to project human models against various occurrences and activities, behaviors, and trying to get outcomes, man, that's been done for decades now. But the one place that you would think that would be giving people the numbers and the projections on this, the scientific community doesn't want to do that.
I can agree that they don't want to do that. I can agree that they become, you know, a lot of the people that are respected from a science standpoint, that people that me and you have, that I've quoted against you, and we've debated some of this stuff, is that yeah, they're ideologues when it comes to social issues through and through. So yeah, I agree 100% on that. But Salty Balls in the building saying the supreme equation, science plus morality equals natural law. Thine is the sovereign logical statement of all, was, is, and will be. Thank you for the $10 super chat. Thank you very much. Do appreciate that. Hold up.
Suck on my chocolate salty balls. Put them in your mouth. Put them in your mouth and suck them and suck them.
Yeah, but no, thank you for that. Thank you for that, for real. Science plus morality equals natural law. Yeah,
And I want you to jump in this hood conservative, but I find it really odd that in a lot of these conversations, the individuals that tend to say things like, the facts don't care about your feelings are not the scientific people.
Right.
Well, science has long been. This is kind of what I was alluding to when you remove transgenderism. What's that manual called? Like the DS1 or something?
Yeah.
Big book of mental illness. And once you remove that, I think that was a signal. Like you and I weren't paying attention. It probably happened way before we were even born. But that was a signal way back when that the science itself had been compromised on just that one issue. Now, science, here's the problem when you say something like science has been compromised in and of itself. Science was never it was never meant to be a replacement for like religion or anything like that. The problem with science is that science always belongs to who buys it. I mean, we were I forget how this came up, but I was making that exact point when it came to something like the cigarettes. Like the cigarette industry knew for years that cigarettes cause cancer, but they swear to God with their army of scientists that it didn't cause cancer. Like the science in and of itself is not the thing. And so you don't try not to get hung up on the concept of science. That's not the point. Science can always be bought and sold. It's either true or it's not, period.
Yeah. And my only nitpick with that is that when cigarettes did cause cancer, but they did pay off some individual scientists to put on a lab coat and stand in front of the masses and say, no, cigarettes don't cause cancer. It was scientists in science that proved that, no, motherfucker, they do. You know, but they had to fight through the bureaucrats and politicians and shit. You know.
Well, here's another example. How many people, good people who are in the medical field, got destroyed over disagreeing about the COVID thing, right? Or climate change. If you don't agree with climate change, you will not work in the scientific field of your choice. You have to agree with the Church of Climate Change, or you can't be a scientist. Like that's kind of the problem.
You can't be a climatologist if you
right.
I gotta look up more details on that one. I do. Because there are certain things that are accepted as true, or I would even say are proven true on a scientific consensus, to the point to where the person who's not believing it, not accepting it, becomes the ideologue to them. You know, science typically says present your data and prove it. Now, the stuff that was going on with COVID, yeah, that's that shit got weird. And again, I didn't research that quite like you did, but yeah. So it's some chinks in the armor. It's some chinks in the armor. I'll say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of that stuff
Yeah,
I gotta.
Yeah, I was just saying it's pretty weird because I know some of you have probably heard the statement, think like an engineer, because engineers typically they try to think about all of the different parts of something and re-engineer it to get a better grasp or understanding of it. And in these situations where you have these social concepts that come up, transgenderism, so forth, climate change, all that other stuff, people are clamoring for the scientists to think like scientists.
Yeah, people
To
are mad
follow.
because people are legit mad because scientists, like we see with Neil deGrasse Tyson, they're putting their social shit ahead of their science. That's why I was pleading that you could stand on your science. Biology is biology. XY chromosomes are XY chromosomes. But however, from a social standpoint, there are some people that are a little different. Let's treat them fairly. You can make that argument, and as long as you don't introduce no weird shit like puberty blockers and surgeries and shit for children and changing and doing fuck shit in the curriculum at school, or the example that Hood Conservative gave. But if you just all for just letting grown people, wear pink if they want to wear pink and do what they want to do and call themselves they want to call themselves, like if the science that seriously should be the argument of every public science educator. But they're not doing that, and I'm disappointed.
Even that.
So, yeah.
What do you mean by treat them fairly? So for example, and this is why I kind of say you have to reject it all from the start, because if I don't want to associate with a person who has multicolored hair and they've probably removed some genitalia, am I now the bad person, or am I not treating them fairly because I don't want to hire that person? I don't want this person to be associated with whatever my thing is I'm doing. So now, because I don't like you, am I treating you unfairly? This is the danger in even that concept.
Yeah. You should also have freedom of association. So yes, absolutely, I agree with 100% with that. One thing that I want to get into before one thing I want to finish, actually. I did want to finish this video, but now I want to respond to something in the chat when I said if something is accepted or proven or shown to be true, you say pushed as true. The only thing I'll say to that is typically when it comes to scientific consensus, a team of scientists did the work, and the teams of scientists after that did the hard work to try to debunk it and try to disprove it. And based off this current tools, knowledge, and instruments of science, they couldn't do it. So this is what's accepted as true. We've reached consensus on this until somebody debunks it with better science and better data. That's typically how it is. When politicians get a hold of it, it turns into something different. And that's I'll typically stand on that. It's like we can't sit here, in different parts of the world talking on the internet as if we in the same room, and then turn around and say that there isn't methodologies in science that get us closer to understanding how to do shit and how shit work and how shit operates. It's like our whole world revolves around, we don't even live in a natural world no more. It's like, so science fucking works. If you don't believe science works, go back to the Stone Age. Go live in a cave. But so science works, but there is political jargon and bureaucrats and all kind of bullshit that get in that where they push certain things, and scientists, I would argue they don't fight hard enough, or they sell out, or it turns into bullshit.
Well, you keep saying science, Bernard, and I think you really mean the scientific method. And it's a very clever, it's a very necessary distinction. You need a rigid method of ordering and just ordering the world. Without a rigid method of ordering and structuring the world, there is no higher ability. That's really what you're talking about.
Yeah, when I say science, you're right. I do mean the scientific scientific method, and the world is we're in an unnatural world because of the scientific method. So yeah, I agree on that. But all right, I just want to play the rest. I didn't forgot what the rest of this even got to say. I meant to wrap this up at 2 hours, but it turned into a great conversation. But I do want to play the rest of this before we pack it up and get out of here.
Like Leon Black, that somebody has something behind closed doors on you that's blackmailing you, that you have to now agree with these positions. For somebody to say, how the hell did you go from being a respected scientist to all of a sudden saying, one day I can wake up feeling like a female, one day I can wake up feeling like a male, and why do you care? No one cares. The only care where I think Democrats are losing a big part of their base, where I don't know if you saw the stats that came out talking about senior boys are becoming overly conservative. Did you see this chart or no? That just came out yesterday or the day before. Rob, do you have this or no? Do you want me to text it to you? Type in senior boys conservative. Yeah, if you can, this is the Hill. If you can go, high school boys are trending conservative. And if you go and show the chart, there's that chart right there. If you look at that, zoom out a little bit so we can read the whole survey. Okay, so political identities of 12th grade boys, percent identifying as liberal versus conservative from 1975 to today. So look at blue, where it was at, and now, 2023, it's conservative and less liberals. This is seniors, 12th grade boys, okay? Yeah. So maybe some of these guys are just fed up with it and are like, listen, man, I'm sick of this BS, dude. This, whether I identify as a boy or as a girl, leave me alone. Let me figure it out when I'm an adult. Stop imposing this idea on me.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here.
All right, that wasn't even the clip that I thought it was, but okay, fair enough. I saw it. I don't know if y'all got anything to say on that. I'm about to wrap this thing up. I don't know if y'all want to say any parting shots. On that one
about the that whole thing, teaching. I mean, the high school kids becoming more conservative. Men, fathers, mothers. Homophobia starts at home. So teach your kids well. I plan on teaching my son at home, and I hope he carries the tradition and he teaches his son at home. Homophobia and transphobia start at home.
Any parting shots, SKC? I know you can't follow. That's a tough act to follow. But any parting shots, SKC?
Yeah, I think my parting shot, more or less, I would say the other side of the equation would be, I think if they were to improve their argument, they could do so tremendously by just taking the humble approach of acknowledging fully and openly when they've been wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just.
You talking about improve their argument on the trans stuff?
No, I'm just talking about so far as on the. I would say more or less people on the complete science side. Like take for instance, if you have people like Neil deGrasse Tyson, a much better argument to this. Like say if he wanted to come back from this, he could just say, you know what, I thought about this and I didn't take the scientific approach to answering this question. It was more based upon my feelings and I'm wrong. Because as a scientist, I should approach things in that way because that's how the majority of people who are listening to me, they're listening to me because of my scientific bona fides.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that their ego will allow them to do that because on their side of the arguments on so many different things, they've never had to just straight up say that they were wrong about something ever.
That's that part right there. That very, I agree with you 100% until that last part. And every scientist would tell you, he's like, we always have to admit that we're wrong because, like they would say, they sarcastically say they're always wrong. Like when somebody say, oh yeah, I'm gonna have to go back to the drawing board now. The response to that, and actually Neil deGrasse Tyson has actually said his exact response. The response is, we're always at the drawing board. We never leave the drawing board. It's a constant process of trying to get closer and closer to the truth, more and more accurate. We never stop. Even when we know something, whenever we learn something, the the circle of stuff we know, when that gets bigger, it makes the perimeter of our ignorance get bigger, because now we got more stuff to figure out based off the stuff that we know. And when you figure that shit out, you may find out, oh, I was wrong here. It's like they always at the drawing board, but where they need to, I think where you're right is that they gotta admit that they let their social feelings, their politics, their social politics get in the way of the scientific method. That's what they gotta admit. And once they do that,
if you have people that are like that, and I'll cede that part of the argument to you. Yes. But when you have people that are like that they will not, and I'm not saying scientists as a whole. I'm saying, let's say if you have like Neil deGrasse Tyson in this particular instance, he will never go and state, when I got on this conversation about this, I was wrong.
Yeah.
He will never do that. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about as a whole group or society. I'm saying individually, the people who go out and make these outlandish comments about certain things. You'll never have Dr. Fauci that will come out and say, I was wrong. He won't do it. And that's why I say, when you have people like that are on that side of that community that are taking those approaches to things, then it only causes other people to look and say, if they're willing to do that about this, what about other stuff that they're supposed to be in, authorities on?
Fair enough. Yeah. No, agreed. But all right. Thank you, everybody, for being in attendance today. Appreciate each and every one of you. Shout out to Salty Balls, who actually I think he sent even 100 on the Cashapp. So supposed to be 110 up there, but looks like discrepancy. But shout out to Salty Balls. Shout out to everybody else. Chuck Igwu, I think I got your name right. I can't see something that's blocking it. Cold Steel, Sir Tice, Eclectic Agitator, True Hype. Everybody supported the stream. Everybody in here. Everybody who liked, shared, subscribed, or watched in indifference. Whatever you did to support this show, shout out to you. Do appreciate it. And last but not least,
welcome to Machismo TV, the ultimate destination for modern men seeking to upgrade their lifestyle.
That was RM fault.
Welcome to Machismo TV, the ultimate destination for modern men seeking to upgrade their lifestyle. Subscribe to Machismo TV and Saul T-Balls. We stream daily from 12 midnight to 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the best male-centric content. Highlight reels without reviewing or providing any editorial bias to the content. We have done so much, with so little for so long, we are now qualified to do anything, with nothing.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and we are out of here. Peace.